Quick video about adding forward controls to a VRod. I will do a follow-up video about the side stand because that's kind of relevant to this one. Forward controls on a VRod. So what I've decided to do is I wanted to put forward controls on it, but I already had mid controls. And I found the easiest way to do this was to actually just extend forward and keep my mid controls and the forward controls at the same time. So on this side it's really easy to do because basically you can leave the mids like that. You need a slightly longer M6 bolt here, standard gear lever, standard gear rod, Harley Davidson gear rod for a standard V-rod with forward controls, standard gear shifter, and then you just need to change the highway peg. Unfortunately I could only find reduced reach pegs here. But you can get your highway pegs off the V-rod and actually have them turned down, and then it would fit. This would fit over the top of it. That's probably what I'll do, or I'll just try and find some new ones because I really don't need reduced reach. By the way, I'm 6 foot something, one, or I don't know. And this actual reduced reach is okay for me. It would be nice to have that extra inch, having said that. But it's okay. It's good enough for now. The only problem is it brings it out about that far, whereas normally the pedal would be here. Or here. So it sort of brings it backhand out, which is a bit annoying. So I will be looking for the proper forward, I've forgotten what they're called, clevises, later on. But at least this got me done. So this side, to put dual controls on this side, or convert it to forward controls, because obviously you could take all this off if you wanted to. This side really easy, the other side with the brake lever not so easy. One brake lever in the midst of welding. So this is a standard Harley brake lever, actually for a lowrider or something, I don't know, something else. And it welds up quite nice. The TIG's running quite nice on there. I'm using, I can't remember which rod. I'm using 4043 rod. So I'm using 4043 rod on it, and it seems to be welding up quite nice. So all I've done is I've just cut it a little bit and then put a plate on here, and I've just welded it on around here. And then I'm going to have another plate going this way, which I'm going to connect my rod back to the rear brake pedal with, and then I have to weld the rear brake pedal, which presumably is the same material, so should weld up nice. So fitting this brake pedal, what I've done is I've taken a fairly standard Harley, not sure quite what this is actually, I'll put the part number in somewhere so you can see. Anyhow, I've welded a plate on here and then welded a plate down here. I've got stainless steel rod eyes here and some 8mm stainless steel rod, because I thought I'd do it all in stainless steel. And what I've done is I've put a bend in it, and then the rod comes alongside the bottom of the engine. It just gets around that exhaust pipe, and then it comes back to the rear peg. Now I've got this about 8 centimeters from the 6.5 centimeters, something like that, from the center line to the center line there, and it's actually in line with the center line of the pedal there. So the center line of the pedal passes roughly through that screw head. So I'm going to want the rod to be from there to there, which works out about 53 centimeters is the distance from the pivot point on the rear brake lever to the pivot point on the front brake lever. And I want the rod to be identical down here, because if I get this and make this piece slightly longer, the bar that's going to go on here to take the other rod eye, if I make that slightly longer than 6.8 centimeters, I'm not changing the effort that you require to put on the brake pedal. It will be identical, because you're basically copying the lever, and the lever's going through here and going for an identical lever on this side. So it's neither increasing the amount of force that you can put on here, multiplying it, neither is it subtracting from it. So just a quick point here. This is I just want to make sure that everyone understands that obviously I'm telling you what I've done. Before you go and do anything like this, come up to your own conclusions, look at a standard Harley VRod with forward controls and make sure you get it right and you test it right. I'm not rich enough to be worth suing, by the way, so don't even think going down that road. So I just welded this up. So there's my extension piece. This is looking at the bottom of the original VRod mid peg. So what I've done is I've welded this bit on here. I better not touch it because it's blooming boiling hot. And I've welded a little bit lump here. It needed a lot of power there because obviously that's a solid chunk of aluminium. So I was bunging about 200 amps to get this started, and then you're back down to about 150 or so to get these bits, because these are about 5-6 mil plate. But that's come up okay. I'm fairly happy with that. So this really polished up quite nicely actually. I use an angle grinder cleaner kit to polish this. It's called a Dronco kit, and that's what it looks like there. It's really nice and easy to use. Right, so with forward controls on this side of the bike with the brake lever on a VRod, it's not so easy, because basically the VRod came with mid controls came with a brake cylinder down here, and the forward controls actually has it mounted on this frame rail. So not only do you have to remove all of this, buy all of this stuff, the clevises and everything like that, but also you need the brake cylinder for the front, which is different, and a new frame rail from there down round to there, or the frame rail for a bike that's already got forward controls. So it's a little bit more complicated on this side, and this is one of the reasons why I went for this dual control setup. The cool thing about the dual controls I've done is, look, you can use the brake there, you can use the brake there. I think that's quite cool. Obviously, if you wanted to do a cheap forward control conversion and you didn't want the mid controls, you could cut that lever off just there, sort of thing, remove the foot peg and have this sort of pivot point still here, and then have the rod joining them up, and that would be a cheap, easy way of doing forward controls without having to change all the brake setup.